Never mind.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outlawed Thoughts, episode 83. We've got a very distinguished panel here with the coffee mug on screen. That caught me off guard completely in my intro. We got Toad from the Tower Gang pod. We've got Tim from Swampcast over with the Swamp Creatures Network. And we've got Jacob with Rise to Liberty. I just realized it now, but we have like 3 of different podcasting groups, which is kind of interesting. Different spectrums of the autistic.
Spectrums of the spectrum.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. I thought it would be a good conversation to have, especially as it has engulfed the drama sphere within the Libertarian movement with the whole RFK thing, but also just chat about the general, like, all the shit that's been going on, because that's kind of how me and Tim were talking in the pre-lobby here, that's kind of how I tend to do things online, is I just don't talk about any of this shit, and then eventually I'm like, I'll do a show. Fine. In this case, I put out a link to a bunch of people, so we got you guys, which were the people who actually showed up to begin with, and then we've got the 2 slackers, that I sent links out to were Kareem, who's normal.
You mispronounced faggot.
Yeah.
And Hector Ruse, who I sent the link out to about 15 minutes ago, so he gets a break because he didn't have much of a warning. Hector is sort of, I think, a character in this whole thing because he's spurred a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But to sort of, I guess, I'm going to give it sort of, instead of going through a bunch of Twitter threads and all that horseshit, I'm going to just lay out sort of what has happened here in my summation as an outside observer, and then people can chime in if I'm wrong. LP Colorado, their board voted to not back Chase as a candidate and rather to back RFK.
Yeah.
They put that vote public. They put up a statement on X, like a big post, and then it was off to the races. It was like the battle lines were drawn. I saw Karen Ann Harlos and a few other people being like, this is against bylaws, this is Roner, this is not okay, you can't do this, and giving out all these different points. So I started looking at all of that. And then there was sort of this other argument going on about whether or not RFK is libertarian, whether or not people should be supporting RFK financially, whether or not he's a candidate that the Libertarian Party should be branded with, which then spurred a bunch more arguments, and it became what I would describe as the classic libertarian shit-throwing contest, where everybody is really just, no one's even really talking about the argument anymore. It just sort of devolves and everybody's screaming at each other on Twitter.
What we're doing, man, we're here rolling around in shit together. Let's do it.
So I figure right off the bat, a good way to start is, and I'll go last, what is everybody, when everybody saw the LP Colorado stuff, what was everybody's general takeaway from it? What was your take?
Which part? Them dropping Chase?
Dropping Chase and then separately signing on to RFK.
Okay. You want to go, Toad?
2 different issues, because I think those 2 issues are separate,
They're separate. Well, so first of all, dropping Chase, I would say they did not do that in the entirely correct way, because if you're going to drop Chase, it should be being done out of a helicopter. But no, dropping Chase was the best part of this. It's fucking base. Chase is not a libertarian.
Yes.
He's a woke progressive. Everybody knows this. He should not be the libertarian candidate. He should not be the representative. So, yeah, fuck that. Dude, Montana had already done this before that, and they said, we're not supporting Chase. We had a bunch of other LPs came out and said, I make people blow their loads way too early. Sorry.
That's fine, dude.
Yeah, like Montana, I think was the first state that did it. So a few states, I think New Hampshire might have, but he's going to get on the ballot there anyway. It depends what the state's balloting is. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I think it's based that these state affiliates came out and said, we're not supporting this guy. He's not a libertarian. Okay, good. Let's have the good libertarians, I guess, disassociate ourselves from him, make some sort of distinction there. Cool. Colorado, then their idea was we're going to instead put RFK on the ballot, which I like this for a couple of different reasons, and it's not because RFK is a libertarian. He's obviously not. The people who are arguing that, just shut up, dude. Everybody knows RFK is not a libertarian. We don't need to have this argument. No shit. You're living off in autist Spurg land over here. This is not the fucking argument. This is a strategic play, and there are a couple of things that I agree with about it. One is that notice who the most vocal opponents of this move were for the most part. The faggots. The people who you hate the most, they all fucking hate this shit. So I immediately love that. Faggot tears. You think I'm drinking coffee out of this cup right now? Fuck no.
No, sir.
Toad's speedrunning getting me nuked right before monetization.
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
I haven't said the N-word yet. It tastes pretty good. So I'm like, all right, that's good. Then, like, you look at what's actually going on here. Again, like I said, obviously RFK, not a libertarian, but this was based on like getting certain like concessions from it. It was sort of there was a quid pro quo to some extent going on here, which I kind of saw it as similar to the move with Trump, where it's like basically the Libertarian Party kind of had this back and forth with him, like, hey, if you win, you get into office, like if we, kind of sort of give you some, not really some backing, but like we have you at our convention, whatever, if you win, have like a libertarian in your cabinet and agree to free Ross, whatever. Like, I kind of like that stuff because it's moving the needle, and I think that's the most important thing. And you might actually maybe even accomplish something. Like, if Trump gets in and he frees Ross, hell yeah, like that's a win. Like, that's a noticeable win, just that alone. RFK, I think the win here is he agreed to that whole slate of conditions that are all libertarian positions. He tweeted it out, I believe. So now RFK has a bigger following than like any of us do. So people are going to see that, and I'm saying what this is going to do is it's going to move the needle for those people who are following RFK, which could include some Democrats, some of the like homeless Democrats, which I don't mean the literal homeless. I don't give a fuck about those people. They shouldn't be voting. The people who are
the cops.
Yeah, unleash the cops. The people who are politically homeless that are kind of looking for something might be kind of maybe eyeing RFK, saying, what does this guy have to say? Maybe they actually like some of this, what they're seeing out of RFK. And it was a lot of similar stuff to what he was saying. I know that we shouldn't trust him. He's a politician, obviously. I don't trust him at all. He's not going to win, for one thing.
Hector is going to join this call sucking his own dick at this point.
Okay. Hopefully not literally, because nobody wants to see. Well, he can't even find it, so it won't be literal. So...
him rolling over top of himself.
RFK, so like if you saw his speech at the Libertarian Convention, it was better than Trump's. I know he fine-tuned it. It was very fine-tuned to be a libertarian speech, and it was like 85% shit that I would agree with. But if he's going to be out there and he's just saying that stuff publicly, I think that that's good. And what I want to do is have the effect of moving the Overton window. And I had some people, Ben Weir, disagreeing with me. He was saying the Overton window doesn't even exist. It absolutely exists. There is a certain set of... Yeah, there is a window of opinions that you can have where if you have an opinion outside of that window, you're going to get, nuked from social media. Like, it's going to be very clear, no, this is an unacceptable opinion. You can't have it. So what I think is good about this is that RFK can be saying some of these things and pushing that Overton window sort of in the Democratic sphere in a way, the left sphere, maybe if you want to, you know what I'm saying. You want to call it that?
Right. Yeah.
Move the needle for those people in a more libertarian direction. That's what I like about this. I don't even think that you should support RFK as far as like voting for him for president. You should not. But I like this move strategically by Colorado, and I think that is why they did this. And all that being said, I'm pushing voters in swing states to vote for Trump. So I'll just throw that out there. But the libertarian, binary mind cannot comprehend what I'm saying here. So I'll leave it at that.
Based.
Jacob, you've been
Right,
real quiet. No, I'm not. I agree mostly with everything that Toad said. Like I say mostly because I'm being safe, but I don't know anything that he said that I disagree with. I mean, he's absolutely right. I think that this has been a good move for libertarians generally. It gets us to be a player in the game. It gets us to get some of what we want, or at least get the conversation started about what we want. And so I agree with that wholeheartedly. Them taking Chase off the ballot, I wanted to put out a post on here that was saying something like, if you're going to vote in the presidential election, you should probably vote for Chase because he's the most libertarian person in the race. That being said, voting nationally is a waste of fucking time. And so, I don't really see the point in getting so worried about it at all. I don't think Chase is a good representation for the Libertarian Party, and I can't vocally come out and support him for that reason. He doesn't represent me, and in fact, he's embarrassing to me when I say I'm a libertarian, and people say, "Oh, like that fag?" I have to say, no, not like that. And so I don't like being in that position. And so I'm fine with whatever Colorado wants to do. I'm kind of like in the Hoppe camp, I guess, with this. Like, I don't care nationally. I want it to get as local as possible. And that's where everybody's focus should really be. But I understand the national conversation is important because, like Toad was saying, it does change the conversation. It does. When we make alliances like this, when we make agreements like this, we are bringing in new ideas to the conversation, and hopefully, the hope is that you will transition people's thinking into something more appropriate. Hi, Hector.
What's up?
Hey,
Yeah,
yes, Hector is here.
What's up, Leighton? What's up, guys?
I sort of introed you before because I said you'd be coming on.
He said you'd be the guy rolling around sucking your own penis, is what he said.
I said you can't find it.
There was a comment like that made after Toad's rant.
I want to hear from Jacob though. I don't know what he said. Yeah.
So I'm kind of with Toad. Like, I don't support Kennedy. It's very clear he's not a libertarian. That's not the fucking point. And if you don't understand the point, then you either don't understand politics or you're just so far up your own ass that, like, you probably shouldn't be involved if you can't see through any of this. Anyone criticizing a state breaking off to go do their own thing, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Right.
We're individualists. So, like, I get it. The national delegates voted for whatever, but we're not a fucking democracy. So
Right.
if Colorado wants to go do that, they voted for their EC. They voted for them because of X, Y, and Z. So let them go do whatever. And it's just insane to me that nobody is arguing from principle. There's backing Chase isn't standing on principle. Backing Chase is going to be arguing for procedure and tradition. The principle is to grow liberty, because a principle is a fundamental and objective truth. Like, for instance, liberty is superior to tyranny. So we grow liberty. And I don't understand how all of us conforming to somebody who's going to fucking lose the race, somebody like everyone else has said, is not also a libertarian and is super embarrassing. I don't understand how just doing the same thing over and over and over again, this time with an entirely embarrassing candidate that most people don't want. He won because he ran against nobody. 30% of the party voted to vote or bring in Noda instead. The rest of the people, what sent him over the top was because people were scared of losing ballot access. If it wasn't for that, I would like to see the legitimate votes for that. To me, it doesn't seem like he was legitimately elected. It just kind of seemed like, well, he's the only person. So, I mean, yeah, okay, there's an argument for it, but that also means you should let other states do what the hell they want. So, and as far as I understand, I haven't seen any proof that this violates the bylaws. I keep hearing that. And, I've actually read the bylaws, but nobody's posted it. So where's the violation? I don't see it. And here's the thing. if this is successful, then what that means for the party is a ton more eyes on us that wasn't going to be on us in the first place. The national convention, everyone that attended, well, I won't say everyone, but most everyone that attended the Trump thing just straight fucking fumbled this. Like, the national media follows Trump around like a lost dog. And we literally had a chance to make any impression we wanted on the national media that would have been reported on for the next week. And that's what we came away with. Everyone's screaming like a bunch of fucking sissy leftists. Go fuck yourselves. This is like, what do you think we're trying to do? Like, this isn't a game. And that leads me to my final point is this is a system that we all understand is co-opted by criminals, and it's been adapted to their way. So this is an unethical system. How the fuck do you plan on working ethically through an unethical system? Like, the whole point to this is to roll back the power. But to be able to grow liberty, we have to first stop tyranny. We have to stop the growth. And the one thing I will say, Trump's not any better. Kennedy might be a little bit better than Trump. The point is tyranny will come down no matter what. Right now, it's the point of how fast is it going to come down. Now, I can say with sheer confidence that a Democrat wins, Biden, Kamala Harris, God forbid Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, any of them, it will be quicker than anything else. At least if the Republicans get in, we have a little bit of time to like gather our shit and then get back at it. If Kennedy won, we would probably have a little bit longer. But the point is, we are running out of time here. There is going to be a point of no return. So at this point, I will do whatever it takes to grow liberty because I don't give a fuck about the party. I'm here in the party because this is the closest thing that aligns to what I believe in. And I want everyone to share in the same thing, And if it means that I have to, burn down the party, metaphorically, to gain more liberty, fuck the party. I don't give a shit about the party.
Yep.
So I'll use whatever it takes because the liberty, that's the principle. So,
and I think what you just said there is what I've noticed among the people who are upset about the RFK stuff and about not keeping Chase on the ballot. All of those people are party first people. No, they're not principle first. They're not liberty first. They're not about moving the window or getting libertarian ideas actually passed or enacted. They're about preserving the party for the sake of the party. Yeah, and that's bullshit.
And that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, what we've noticed here, and this kind of goes to what Jacob was saying about there were some shenanigans that went on that kind of allowed Chase to get the amount of votership that he did at the convention, which happened early on at the convention where those three states, Michigan, Oklahoma, and Washington, had these late changes to their delegation, basically, where they added all these delegates, and all of those delegates were basically old guard style LP people that hadn't been active in the party for a while, and they called all these people up and basically said, the Mises Caucus, these right wingers are ruining the party. Basically, we need you guys to come back and get the party back. So then you had this weird alliance between the progressive leftists that are in the party and the old guard libertarians. So you have a bunch of 70-year-old guys who are voting for Chase and aligning with Chase. It's very strange to me, but that's basically what was going on there.
It's his daddies.
It was worse. It was actually worse than that. So
Okay.
you had a bunch of people who'd already left the Libertarian Party who went and created their own party that's now called the Liberal Party of USA.
Yeah.
And they came back just to mess around. And you're right. There were a bunch of people in their 70s and some of them in their 80s who've been manipulating these conventions for decades, and they've been fighting amongst each other, and they decided to join forces and get behind Chase. And they showed that an old dog does have a few tricks, and they showed the youngins how it's done. That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
I suppose.
What's up, Kareem?
Hey,
What's up?
It's
What's up, dude?
Toad.
Don't acknowledge the brown man. No.
No, never.
Sorry.
Oh, that's it. That's not
What's up,
progressive.
Kareem?
man.
Who let the commie in?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Hey,
he does
man,
got
we're
that Che
sharing a
Guevara
communal
going on, don't he?
He is
Toad told
looking very
me
Che
he wa-
Guevara today.
Toad told me don't tell anyone that he wants an illegal immigrant to come and take his place on Tower Gang, so it'll be more inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he wants to give him arms too because
Shit,
illegals
Oh,
should
okay.
have
Next
guns.
episode of Tower Gang, there's just a bunch of Kenyans on.
And then Toad
It
and
just
Jeremy are like,
backfires entirely on Kareem. It's just all.
unleash the cops. They're like, we privatize them. Like, oh shit.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I have a sort of different opinion in a way. So I had made a video about all this drama like 2 days ago, and then I didn't put it out. And the reason is because I felt like it was a bit too harsh. And so I took a step back and actually decided let's not step in some shit. Cause I don't know all of the people in Colorado. I know some of them. But Colorado is an interesting state because it has a lot of similar geographic areas as the state of Alaska. They have a lot of the same communities and industries that sort of started a lot of their stuff. Railroading industries and mining being two of the main ones. My video mostly focused around RFK's history. My video had mostly focused around RFK's history of talking about the mining and resource management and collection side of things because he has been horrible on that for pretty much the entirety of his existence in politics. Which is something that I hope the Colorado Party bothered to actually look into or give a shit about, but frankly, I don't think they did.
Well,
This was harsh.
No,
Where's the hard hitting
I
stuff?
Trust me, I was much more colorful.
Okay.
But
here's the thing.
and I brought people up, and that's why I didn't put it out. 'Cause
Okay,
I brought up
okay.
certain individuals, and I decided, this is rude for being rude. I could be an asshole sometimes. Sometimes I can be a self-aware asshole.
self-aware, you're like meditating, but question
Right,
about
so-
that though.
So I have often said on this show, and
He can't hear you. Voice is too dark.
See, I'm being singled out. What the heck?
What did
You stand
say?
out. I mean, what do you want me to?
I thought dark people
Yeah.
had louder voices typically.
All right, we'll talk like this. No, but I guess
yeah.
I'm coming in late, so I heard some of the discussion. I know it'd be like the odd man out here, but I'm usually not a single issue voter. Like back in the day, I was like, okay, you guys are voting on abortion. That's kind of weird. I pro-life, but whatever. Like it's between you guys. Like I'm not a single issue. I've never been a single issue voter until now. Okay, well, RFK, Trump, and Biden are really bad on guns, and they're really
Yes.
bad on genocide. So, like to me, if you're bad at those two, you could be perfect at everything else. You could be good on energy policy. You could be good, but that's why I'm like supporting Jill Stein, and that's why I'm supporting Chase. And I don't think they'll win. But when I was talking to Lars Mapstead, I think we can stop 270, and that's kind of the thing I want to get across to even. Maybe Toad here, maybe like Clint, like let's stop 270. I don't think supporting Trump is a good idea, or supporting RFK. I don't know. I'm not a genius at political stuff, but
So this sort of
even
gets back-
Kennedy's bad at energy policy, though. That's one thing.
This sort of gets back to what I'm talking about. So my main contention was, and this was what I talked about in the video that I sort of when I re-edited it, but I'm putting it out here. So again, I'm speaking from an Alaskan perspective, somebody over here. I'm not in Colorado. I'm not over there. I can only talk about the issues that I think we share as a state that I think are not good on RFK. But my perspective has always been like, I'll back whoever for president is going to be the best for this area that I live in. I don't think that's RFK, because I think he's been far more vocal on things that would negatively affect Alaska compared to Biden or Trump, for that matter. Frankly, neither of them really pay much attention to Alaska.
No one
Whereas
does.
If you start,
No.
right,
Where's Alaska on
I
the
want to
map
make it.
exactly?
I want to make it clear. I would much rather have that, somebody who doesn't pay attention to Alaska at all, than somebody who has for 30 years been vocal about his opinion on mining that would be detrimental to the state of Alaska.
Layton's going to write in Gary Johnson,
but-
there's Alaska.
There you go.
Here,
And
all right.
fishing, which is another huge issue here.
The way that I would counter what Leighton just said, though, is RFK is definitely not going to win. So now what you're left with is just like the strategic points of this here. What if RFK like doesn't even bring up that shit like during this process? Does that change your mind at all?
Yeah. So let me be clear. Like, I think RFK can 100% do a clean messaging campaign that ties in libertarian stuff, and that'll be ultimately good for Colorado. And it'll be good for, I think, a lot of the libertarian movement. I think the problem is RFK is not a useful candidate from my perspective in my state. So it doesn't really do much for me from a local level. Like, it's not affecting any of my stuff. Much, by the way, that I think Chase is similar.
Didn't he speak? Oh, sorry. Didn't he speak
Chase
in
went to
New
Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
twice.
to be the weirdo here. From what I understand, RFK went to New Hampshire and then he was anti-gun there and wanted like gun-free zones and all that stuff. And like, to me, that's the furthest thing from libertarian. You might as well be Biden at that point. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, Chase did go to Alaska. I'm not saying Chase is perfect, but I think stopping 270 is possible. That's a good idea.
Alaska still has AIDS from Chase's visit, by the way.
Let me
Nice.
say something
So, I
about
mean, with all
Okay, fine, but he's anti-genocide.
Yeah.
let me jump in here with the guns and gun-free zones and whatever. The question was if you want him in a public to do a public event, he has a security company that takes care of him. He doesn't rely on the Secret Service, and his security company basically says, we're going to set up a metal detectors and a perimeter, and anybody who wants to get into these events, that's what he does.
Right.
But it's all voluntary. If you don't want to, you can watch it from the outside on big jumbo screens or whatever. But that's basically what it is. He's had 38 attempts in his life in the last 18 months. So you can understand there's an actual security concern. So on the environmental stuff, I want to tell you the reason. It's actually interesting. I will tell you that he has become more radical because of environmentalism, and his journey started there to basically a very anti-government position that he has today. Why? Because what he explains is that his experience in the environment is twofold. One is that he just sees all these corporations basically buying off bureaucrats in order to have permission to dump their pollution, which is a basically an output of their production, right? So they're mining, they're whatever, and dump it on the into the commons, right? And then let somebody else deal with it down the road. And to the extent of that all the harm, secondary harm that it does, then you want the public to absorb it. It's just crony capitalism in a nutshell. But that's not really what radicalizes him to the point where we have him today. What radicalizes him then is all the byproduct of industrial pollution that is no longer being dumped in for the most part in the commons, is then being repackaged and sold and put into our industrial products that you're drinking right now out of your hands, Toad, Leighton.
Yeah, getting some microplastic.
Dude, I'm getting microplastic in my balls. It's fine.
Yes, exactly, Toad.
Yeah.
That's what
He's gonna be
Your
super
comment
high
is
pitched this
plastic.
time.
Is that what I'm feeling every time I piss?
That's exactly what it is. Well, I don't know. Well, it could be whatever you caught from. Never mind. Anyway, but the point is
I didn't
that
let Chase get that close to me.
Hey,
Hi,
I'm
I'm
in good
on the
taste.
Tower Gang. Woo.
Exactly. I was gonna say, you guys get pretty close there, man.
Oh yeah, true.
All right, I'm breaking the seriousness with some comedy because I always share this clip whenever we're talking about RFK because I think it's very relevant to the argument, of course.
Yeah.
All right, show us the clip.
I think Hector was making some valid points, by the way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to say about that. That's what radicalized him in the anti-government position is basically all the shit that.
Oh,
is,
God damn it.
Legion of
Tim
Skanks.
knows the
Funniest.
clip.
Yeah,
Tim
because
knows
we played
the
it on our
clip.
show. Go
Legion
ahead.
of
Yeah.
Skanks. It's,
Second most offensive
That'd be
podcast.
the best,
Our
dude.
officer told me like
People of America.
He sounds like fucking Skeletor.
Hello, He-Man. You think you're gonna stop me? Ukraine, schmuke.
Doing this impression would have been more appropriate than what she was asking
You're
her
not
staff.
wrong.
Literally. She goes, that wasn't like,
Kneel before RFK, Iowa. The leader of the free world, RFK has arrived. Your emperor is now here.
it would have been better if she was like,
Dave, turn Republican, and your journey to the dark side will be complete.
There you go.
That clip will never get old. Anytime I hear RFK speak now, I hear Big J. Okerson's impression.
It'd be so much better if he just leaned into it and just went totally full skeleton.
Dude, he should come out with the full-on outfit. He's out there catching snakes when he should be at a costume store.
There you go.
right. By the way, if you look at all his videos the last couple weeks, all you see him is grinning like hell. Like you think you have an alternative to Biden that's not me? Get real, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all it comes down to. That's what we should be talking about. Really, the other options: Biden, who doesn't even know if he's there. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's a funny situation that we should keep making fun of, frankly, because I'm like, he called the president of Ukraine or dictator Ukraine, Putin, and was like, oh, pretty close, not bad, just right there, almost there.
He's getting
I
there.
want to say
He's getting
when I
there.
talk
Loading.
about when I'm talking
Big
about
boy.
his stuff with environmental things. What I'm specifically sort of referencing is there's a few different Alaskan programs and projects that were attempted to be started. I can reference a few of them, but one of them is Pebble Mine. There's a few different hatchery projects and things like that RFK specifically and a number of people he funds and organizations he's a member of are the people who have directly stopped those projects. These were projects that would have created thousands of jobs here in my state and would have created millions of dollars of revenue for private businesses that have nothing to do with the government. And most of these are in very rural areas of the state where these communities would pop up and expect to be able to begin production, would start communities of 200-300 people and then be told that all of the work they've done building up those towns and communities is worthless and they have no resources and they have to leave some of these people having started families and things. I know personally.
There's an old man in your room.
Yeah, there is.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
By the way,
I just saw balls, man.
I looked up and just saw
He
the
didn't even see
very
him.
end of the guy walking away. So it was
Kareem's captor is gonna have to wait.
the guy with an AK-47.
No, this is Kareem's hostage. What are you talking about?
So
Full stereotypical. Are you
So-
in a cave? Or
Does the guy sound like RFK too?
So I mean, what I'm hearing, at the
Kareem,
moment
I'm
is-
gonna stick my worm in your brain.
Hey man, don't I'll unleash the cops. No way,
Yeah.
I don't call them. Ooh.
No, late. What you're saying is serious, and that is a remark about people getting, the development of how to use natural resources versus the public. This actual you're replacing natural resources, environmental impact for short-term industrial development and economic gain. So, besides which side of the debate you're on, and
short term.
Oh, decades.
Okay,
I mean,
That's
so
short.
look
right.
at, yeah,
The
that
problem,
mofo. You
explain.
not
No, let me
you're
explain.
you know how old are you right now? You're decades old.
34. I'm gonna
Exactly.
Let me explain. This is the difference.
Shit, I'm already
between-
dead.
This is the difference
Yeah.
Your
between
plastic should have
Alaska.
killed you, and your balls should have killed you years ago.
die. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
This is the difference between Alaska and other places. You know, the reality is oil was discovered here in 1908. It's never run out. There's never been a shortage. There's never been a dip in
I don't think it'll ever
supply.
run out.
There's never been
Ever.
right. So these
Yeah, I
are the
don't-
problems I have when environmentalists and people connected to that movement put these sort of anti-capitalist phrases attached to the collection of resources, which I think is bunk. Mining in the 1920s, which produced slag and lots of offspring of that mining stuff that you don't want in the public, is fine.
We need
Modern
green
mining
energy,
is done
like-
much different, and separating what people refer to as acid mining or reflex mining, and you look at more of hard rock mining, that was done not for 100 years, not for 200 years, for
Thousands.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30, 40, 50,000 years.
Yeah.
So you point to me the environment that was completely decimated and destroyed from that mining structure. And I'll show you that it's a little area in Africa or some area in a populace that has no choice. So I mean, I think it's this is sort of my autism thing because
No, you're right.
I'm in Alaska.
Apparently,
and
it's
that's
all
sort
about
of my-
mining tonight.
Listen, if the African population drops a little bit, that's probably a net gain for
So
humanity.
I
So.
can actually,
God, man, what's wrong with you?
I've done this with others, but I can make the same argument with RFK for fishing. You know, a lot of people laud him for some of the actions he's taken in water purification and some of the steps he's taken there, and I think some of that deserves to be lauded. Some of it is decent, and it's even libertarian in the way that he went about it, launching lawsuits and such against private companies that were legitimately doing bad things to water supplies.
Right.
The problem wrapped into that is that he signed himself on to a lot of these groups, which he's still funding right now as I speak, that are anti-fishing, that are against the collection of any resources to do with the ocean, that stop people from managing their own privately held land, that stop people from purchasing land from the government to make it private. So again, I'm in a state that is literally surrounded by ocean, and has
And
more
government-owned
bodies of water
land.
in it. Well, and has more lakes in it than the entirety of most of the United States. So it's like we're in an environment where fishing is, like mining and fishing are the two biggest industries.
There's more goats in
Right.
Alaska than people, right?
Well, there's more moose. There's 3 times more
Layton's
moose
the
up north
goat.
than people.
There you go.
There is.
Pretty
It's
much.
like,
I'll tell you. So when he spoke at the California state convention, there was a three-person panel. It was him, Rechtenwald, Termott, and you know he was
Cornell
actually,
West.
exactly. He was cop, right? He was
Cornell.
talking about. He was actually asking, like, how do you deal with the problem of the commons? Because it's not really something that we in our system of thought that we read in economics that's really well resolved about those issues. And he's generally trying to figure out how to move forward. Because why? Because even through all these lawsuits and all these and any action that he's taken and all the complaints that Leighton you've made haven't really gotten anything in a holistic sense. So what does that mean? That means, like, think about it this way. We're talking about, sometimes we talk about clean energy, and where we have a government input, picking winners and losers like wind. Wind all of a sudden has surpassed electricity generated by wind, or that is turbines, has now surpassed coal, which is ridiculous, only because we've actually paid for it to surpass coal. And they're planning these huge windmill farms out in the middle of the ocean with all the environmental impact that has. And of course, people like Kennedy and his supporters are against that. So there is a point where we come together and we think, well, where do we meet in the middle here? And where is it that we can actually have a practical free market discipline into the market and competition? Because right now we have none of that. No one's happy with the system. No one. He's not happy.
I
You're not
will
happy,
say,
Leighton.
I do have one other thing I have to mention because I mentioned it on Twitter and I said I would, but the other thing is when RFK did contact Alaska, or rather try to get involved over here when he was running.
Yep.
He did not contact the Libertarian Party. Instead,
Nope.
he contacted the Alaskan Independence Party, which he contacted Bob Byrd, who I personally know. Bob was the chair of the party. He was ousted as the chair of the party shortly after the conversation he had with RFK because of the repercussions of it.
Wow.
RFK attempted to get on the ballot through the AIP here in Alaska. RFK met with Bob Byrd on his radio show, had a conversation, and then Bob Byrd took that to the AIP and attempted to get them to agree as a board to put him on the ballot. He was swiftly laughed out of the room and voted out as their board member, as their chair, which he had been for, I believe, 20 years. And replaced with somebody new, a guy named John Wayne Howe, who I've also spoken to recently.
John Wayne.
Nice.
John Howe is an old
Howe.
guy. He runs.
We don't need that RFK here anymore.
But you know who won't allow drilling in Alaska?
Jill Stein.
And Chase Oliver.
Jeez.
Well,
You said Chase won't
Chase
allow it?
Oliver wants a different kind of drilling in Alaska.
Jill Stein, I would
no.
imagine, is pretty
Nice.
bad on this shit. Jill Stein, she's
The-
got to be awful.
By the way,
Yeah.
I have
We-
a bunch of Japanese candy here.
we are literally arguing over what fucking monkey to hand a handgun to.
Thank you.
Right.
So-
So I agree with you there. And this is sort of what I was.
I mean, tit
what
for tat, all of it. So
Yeah.
we're
Right,
fucked
so-
either way.
There is no candidate right now in.
But
the
who are you
field.
less fucked with?
But here's
So that's
here's
sort of.
Trump.
here's
Have
the
you
reason.
Have you guys had Colorado in here to talk about what their approach is to all this or
Yeah, you should get Andy on.
So here's the biggest problem is that it's like, what's going to happen if we bring this person in? But that only matters because there's no fucking consequences for when they do bad shit. So, I mean, if there was actual
well, no, there's no
repercussions for them,
for them, there's consequences for us.
well, that's what I'm saying. There's no consequences for them for making the decisions. Like
Yeah.
that's our responsibility to hold them accountable. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
on us.
I think, I talked about, I had discussions with the Chase, somebody working with the Chase campaign. They're looking for people in Alaska to help them out. I told them I'd be willing to do some small stuff just because I would do the same for the RFK campaign or any of the campaigns that reach out to me. I'm just looking for shit to do. But the
Awesome.
problem I have with all
Where's your
of the
principal?
candidates-
Uh-huh.
well, my principal.
Where's yours? You're
They're
supporting
better
Trump.
on if they're willing to talk about those issues that I care about in the state, then that is
Alright.
perfectly principled. My problem is RFK this isn't like a couple years. This is like pretty much the entirety of him being involved in politics.
Yeah.
I can support Colorado doing this as an individual state from a marketing approach, and I agree with you
Yeah.
what you were saying on that respect.
Yeah.
I do have questions for Colorado that will probably get a little bit fiery in regards to how much research they actually did, because I didn't do all that much, but I found some stuff I found very interesting, which I was going to put my video, and I'm now going to just shelve to maybe talk to some of the Colorado people about. But
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't.
just to be clear, I do not disagree with any of these criticisms that you have of RFK, by the way. Like, these are all really bad positions of his. Like, I just
Well-
said from the outset, we know that he's
I'm
not,
not even
fucking-
touching the
We know he's
what
not a
Green's
libertarian.
talking about with
Yeah.
the
I mean,
genocide and shit.
If we want to talk about bad shit, look at who Trump's mentor was, Roy Cohn, who's
Yeah.
literally known all over Studio 54 for running
Yeah.
drugs and kids.
Mob
So-
I was
boss.
gonna say
I
that name
also-
sounds Jewish, so
Like,
We know
what's
for
going on.
instance,
But Trump
I
isn't a
can't-
libertarian either. Chase is the only actual libertarian in my
No.
opinion.
Yeah,
none of them
This
are.
is- This is the problem. Like, I mean, like, I'll be perfectly honest.
Vote for Noda.
We,
And
Be a real
Trump,
libertarian.
Trump can win.
I don't
like,
care.
me and Toad,
Yeah.
me and Toad just had our little exchange there about whether it's principled or not. I don't think Chase is really. I think many of the opinions he holds and principles he holds are not libertarian, and I think
Yeah.
at a core he is much more progressive than he's willing
Yeah.
to let on.
Leighton.
I think he
But
lets
I
it
still
on.
think you can do. Still think you can technically work with that person within your
Sure.
principles if it's on specific issues.
Leighton, he's a perfectly fine libertarian. He's just not anti-government enough for me.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I don't think he's
Right.
he's not an ANCAP, which I
No.
would prefer. But I think he's pretty good on war. He's pretty good on fiscal policy, and he knows how to speak. He's
Pretty
not
bad on child abuse, though.
He's not 80
Yeah,
years
so-
old.
so,
Okay,
like,
so I did.
He's
the
bad on the
brass tacks of
culture.
it.
Okay,
This is
I
what
don't-
I keep trying to get.
I
through
don't
to
care
people.
about
This is
that.
the brass tacks of it. Alaska got 2.45% for Joe Jorgensen. Okay, we're talking about 9,500 votes. That's what she got in my entire state.
Mhm.
So Chase Oliver, in the grand scheme of things, who can pull from the leftist colleges here in my state, and that'll be where the majority of, I think, the votes he gets, besides the people who are always going to mark libertarian on their ballot, he'll get about 2 to 2.5%. Exactly what Joe Jorgensen got.
Seems kinda high.
less.
Yeah,
So
I think he'll do
there's a
worse.
reason-
But
There's
yeah.
a reason I'm talking about Alaska specifically and not nationally. If we're talking about a national average, I think he'll do worse than Joe Jorgensen.
He's right now
Unless-
in the last place.
Yes, but if we're talking about the state of Alaska, it's different because there's just a lot of people here that mark libertarian when they vote, regardless of who's on the ballot. They just mark libertarian.
If you're talking about Alaska specifically, I looked it up while you were talking about it earlier. In the last 20 years, it's been all Republican. Like it hasn't even been
Yeah,
close.
yeah, we're
And so,
red.
you voting for Chase or voting for RFK really doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
I think
No,
that-
that's part of
the
my- that's
argument
part of
I
my
made to
point.
everybody. I've never not said that.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
I'm not
talking
saying you
purely
weren't.
on the
I'm
basis
just pointing
of
it out.
autistic
Yeah.
principle horseshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not-
But I
it's
just
not
think none of that
necessary.
matters. Yeah.
No, because
Yeah,
what you
no,
wanna
and you're
do-
not wrong. It literally doesn't
Right.
matter. In the grand scale of things, Trump will win Alaska handedly without a problem. He will.
Right.
And by the way, the reason RFK won't see a lot of support in Alaska is because of those things I was just talking about. In this state, he is known wide and large as an anti-Alaskan person. And you can talk to like anybody in the House here, like in government or anybody outside government, they'll all tell you the same thing. They're
I mean,
not
just
fans
look
of
at Chase. You look at him, you're like, not Alaska. Look at
No,
Leighton.
yeah,
you're
so
like,
this is by the way.
Leighton.
this
I
is-
get it.
If
I voted
Alaska,
for
the state, was a
Rectenwald myself.
person, it would look like
Yeah.
Leighton. Leighton looks like the
Chase
state of
Oliver
Alaska.
Was
Yeah,
at-
pretty
was
much.
the only candidate. Chase was the only
Wait.
candidate to visit Alaska for our convention, and he
Yeah.
lost our straw poll and got like 3rd or 4th place.
Yeah.
What Josh said he'd been to all the states, had he not?
He didn't
No,
go to
Josh
Alaska.
has
I
been
don't
to
think.
Alaska. He did
Yeah.
not go to our convention.
Right.
Okay. Probably because no one cares about Alaska, right?
Yeah, everybody fucking ignores us.
It's not worth the effort. It's not
Hey,
worth traveling an extra 8
I got
hours
some
to get
shit
up
to
there.
talk about national here too.
Hey, but wait,
because
Craig-
the other
Alright.
side of this is that I'm a candidate. Like I'm running for the fucking house over here. Like
Hell yeah.
Same
Um,
in my state.
Oh yeah.
I have
that
gotten
matters more.
absolutely
I think it does
zero
matter more.
support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have gotten absolutely zero support for the National Party. And when I say no support, I mean I haven't had communication with the National Party. And
I didn't
have
even
sent
bother
multiple
trying.
emails.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I-
So
I'm not sure why anybody expects it.
Well,
yeah,
so
that's what-
here's my. This is what I'm getting to. My point here is, the only the National Party is aware that a bunch of these affiliates are small and don't have the ability to back candidates. So instead of going around and actually supporting smaller candidates that we've all
Yes.
agree actually matter and are the ones that are actually going to do things in the local communities, They're fucking talking about joint fundraising with RFK and talking about Chase Oliver still.
Right.
This is my problem. Like, the National Party, everybody sees this and goes, oh, it's a joke, and everybody thinks it's a clown show, and it's a shit show. Like, the reality of it is, no one in the National Party seems to actually give a shit about spreading libertarianism or getting this further out there. They care about bickering about national politics, which we all agree will end in us losing anyway. Because
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
none
agree.
of the people we back, fundraising or otherwise, is going to win. They're all going to
Well,
lose.
it
So
doesn't
what do we
even
get out
matter
of it?
even if we did
So
win.
why are you complaining
because
then?
they can't get anything done.
Right.
Well, okay, this is my
I-
point though, because
You can at
while
lower
we're
levels, though.
spending money and
Yes.
spending resources, putting time and effort into these presidential runs and putting time and effort into this shit, they
very
could
good.
be using that money to literally just win campaigns. I know people who, if they had 10 grand to go canvas areas and actually do the actual campaigning that you're supposed to do when you run for office, they would legitimately win their position. And
I
you
could
would
win
have
with
a
like
libertarian.
5 or 6.
Exactly.
And my district is so small I can walk the whole thing.
I am running against a
no.
Republican member of the Bush caucus.
Ugh.
Like,
There's
do
a
you
Bush
not
caucus.
have a
How old
better
is he?
target for the
Bush caucus?
libertarians?
I agree with that. I like trimmed a little bit, but
Yes,
I'm
so
gonna join the Bush
I'm
caucus.
going to tell you,
Yeah,
the National Party's broke, right? It doesn't have the staff to support candidates.
Well,
And if it did,
Hector,
what's that?
I know what the Alaskan Party has to their name. You don't want to know broke. The National Party ain't broke till I fucking say it's broke. They can suck my entire dick.
oh my god. Well,
Oh, the
I wanna
National,
help out,
okay.
though, because Toad
Throw
keeps
your
saying-
website up
That's
there.
still
then.
only a few inches though, Leighton. So
Yes.
I don't know.
But Toad, I want to help you out. You keep saying
Nice.
you said unleash the cops in the one video and the other video. So to do
did.
that, I am going to help
like-
you. There's a
Okay.
guy named
I-
Mike. There's a guy named Mike Termott who actually was a
Okay,
former
dude.
cop. So we're gonna unleash him.
I know Mike Termont. I know him a little bit personally.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
I've had
Wait, what? Toad?
multiple-
I mean,
I've
to
had
some
multiple
extent, yeah. Like,
Oh, okay. I'm
You
sorry.
didn't, you didn't know. You didn't know that Toad.
I didn't know. What do you mean?
I mean,
You
I've
don't know
hung,
that-
I've hung out with him. I've talked to him. I've met his family.
He arrested
You didn't.
He arrested me.
I just
We had
was that-
sex.
He handcuffed
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That was my joke. I was gonna say
That's
you
why
didn't
he's
know
not
Toad was a
voting.
sex
That's why he's
worker?
voting
Come
for
on.
Trump.
It's just bitter.
And then he's like, "You bet," and then you're like, "Oh my!"
I
God.
don't support his run. I don't support the Chase campaign.
Oh, what? Because he was too hard on you? You're like, "Oh, Mike was too hard on me. I gotta support."
Not hard
the
enough.
dictator."
No, he was pretty gentle.
It's not Mike you have to worry about being hard on you.
True.
See, here's the thing. I feel a lot of people give Chase flack because he is slightly progressive, but he didn't say.
Slightly.
Slightly.
Yes, slightly. He's not. he's
He
not
is a
that-
progressive. It's not like I just
Okay.
barely strolled into
Hell
this.
yeah.
He is
I don't know
a
where
bona
here
fide
is, but
progressive.
Colorado.
But I don't have a problem with almost any like left wing policy, except I think he could have been better on messaging when he was talking about the whole drag queen thing and when he was talking about. But I asked somebody I asked a Mises Caucus member. I can say the name if you want. Maybe I'll just say Theodore Koshkin. I called him. I'm like,
I
look,
have no idea who the fuck that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter to me.
he's in my Pennsylvania Mises Caucus. I said, look, I voted for Termont. He didn't win. Here's what we got to deal with. I'll work with what we got. But I had one question. I'm a little bit wary because he said, okay, well, the whole, snippy down there for the Keodes. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Explain that. And he said it should.
Vasectomy? What?
No, like,
No, he said for the kids.
yeah. So I
I think he's
asked,
talking about cutting dicks off.
That's way
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
I asked legit, you're on the campaign.
L'chaim.
You explain to me, what does he mean? And he said, look, he said it should be up to the parents if they want to do it. I don't think that's good parenting. If you do that,
Boo. No,
before
that's
they're
not
18.
libertarian.
Unleash the cops. Put them in jail.
No, but that's not.
So-
But here's the thing: if the parents decide they're going to do that,
They
in the
can't.
craziest way, I don't think that.
Kareem, I have a question for you.
Yes,
If
The autistic
If
rabbit hole is
I
opening
decide,
wide.
no, I'm. This is the question I think everybody would want answered from somebody who takes this position. So,
Okay.
do two parents have a right to say 13-year-old who is a minor, right there? Do they have a right to abuse that child?
I would say obviously no, but
Okay, then you cannot hold the position that you just said.
the position I hold is, but I don't, and I'll say this: if, because
By the way, can I be honest with you too? The reason I hold the opinion I do here, and the reason I think you should too, is because you know where this argument goes, right? You know the direction this goes in.
Don't assume the audience knows.
A libertarian in Arizona knows exactly where this argument goes because he tried to give it on live television.
Mark Loser, you mean?
Yeah, right. It goes right to the consent argument about sexual actions.
Okay. That's where
and that's right where it's going to go.
Okay,
and you don't want to get in that fucking argument holding the positions that Chase Oliver holds because it won't be good for you.
So what you're saying is that if you allow sex changes for children on the permissions of a parent, the parent could also give the permission that the child could fuck some adult.
Yes.
And that would be
is
okay.
exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying it puts the entire consent.
Just want to put it out there plainly so everyone knows what you're saying. Yeah.
It puts the consent of that child in the hands of the parent completely in all forms.
So
because that's the only way to do it legally.
And I get that. I got my knowledge from, because I don't, like, to me, when this first started happening, it was like 2015, 16. I got my knowledge from literally a YouTuber named Blair White. That was the only person talking about. There were other people like Gigi Gorgeous that had the channel, but the only person who was actually talking about.
My opinion on that, for anybody who's Alaskan in the audience,
no one.
This group right here had a good response to what should happen to those types of people.
Blair White. Okay, look.
No, well.
or those, yeah, wood chip. Okay, look, if they're pedos, wood chipper. I'll just say that. But Blair White explained, like, hey, look, at the end of the day, here's the thing. You should wait till 18. If somebody, I guess, decides as a teenager and gets therapy, then they're gonna do it. I don't think it's the right decision.
Again,
but
I'm putting this hypothetical to you.
No.
If two parents, say they're a guy reaches out to them. He's 28
no cut
years
the
old.
penis. Sorry.
He's 28 years old.
I'm
knocks
watching
on the door
Hector.
one day, and he says, "Hey, I'm 28 years old, and I'm a minor attracted person, and I'd like to date your 13-year-old
You
daughter."
should go
and
fucking
both
die.
Of those parents, and both of those parents consent to it.
Let's just say, that motherfucker's not going to finish that sentence if I'm the parent.
No, but
right. No, I agree with you there, Toad. I have things behind me that can deal with people like that.
Exactly.
But my point is,
But it's also what we know about, because as far as I understand, Chase is not okay with the surgery, but is okay with like the hormones and the puberty blockers and stuff. But what we know about that is that, first of all, if you leave, it's sterilization.
It's not reversible.
Not reversible.
So
they've stopped using that argument. But
most importantly,
if you leave them alone,
Adderall or Ritalin?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't taken it myself, but I know what they are. I know what they do.
Hold on. Right. Most importantly, an offensive to my ethics and morals is it's taxpayer funded in this country.
Yeah. So that's a whole separate argument.
Taxpayer
that endorsement and that endorsement's wild.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring up Adderall and things like Adderall and Ritalin is because much in the way that Chase will make his argument in favor of these hormone treatments, people made the argument to basically dope up every child in every classroom with fucking those drugs. Yep. It's the same exact argument. And now today we're looking back on parents who did that as fucking monsters. Because half the people who were given those prescriptions didn't need them and shouldn't have been taking it. And it caused probably thousands of addicted people to move on to things like methamphetamine and other drugs. And it caused thousands of suicides.
Yep. I agree, but I have friends who are trans anarchists and they're good friends. So I asked them, like, okay, hear this. The conservatives say one thing, That I kind of want to hear your
The,
side.
the
of the
only
story.
question that matters is, are they over 18?
Yeah, they are. They're
Okay,
all-
well then it doesn't matter
Well,
because
don't
they're
give a
an
shit.
adult. They can make their own choices, but a
Nobody
child
here,
cannot
I
consent.
think, nobody here is in favor of telling some. Listen, if you're an 18-year-old, I don't care if you want to lop your tits off in a
Yeah, yeah.
the privacy
I mean,
of your
I'll
own
tell you
bedroom.
it's
I don't
fucking
give a
I don't
wrong,
think
but
it's okay.
I
how
think
about
it's
this?
dumb and it's culturally inept, but I still think you should be able to
Culturally
do it.
inept.
I don't. Here's the thing. I'm from the Middle East. I'm not great with this.
No fucking shit. I'm sorry.
I'll meet. Look,
Kareem's like, I am not from here.
yeah, you know what? I'm not from here. No, I grew up here.
I come from a distant land.
All right.
Wait,
I will
Kareem, what
take,
country you from?
China. I will take the practical
He's from the Middle East and he has a big nose, man. I think he
I'm
might have
actually
done, he might have done
Norway.
9/11. I'm not sure.
There you go.
Sean Kennedy, hey.
What's up, Sean?
What's up, brother?
The reason I'm trying to give him a little bit of credit is because he did well at the LP being anti-genocide. So I said, look, here's at the end of the day, if you care about kids, like,
Well,
if
it's
you
just
do
a different genocide, really, if we want to really get into it. I mean,
Yeah, he's
think
not
that-
good
There
on
you go.
genocide, actually.
it's not a genocide.
he's sort of pro-genocide.
He's
It's just
ignoring the
pro-crime.
domestic genocide, which is maybe
It's
the
not a
most
domestic-
egregious
It's a
one.
slightly less brown genocide. Well,
But like,
yeah, it's
fine.
okay because the people being genocided are white. So I mean,
Yeah.
No,
Well, some of them are black because he's pro-abortion too.
Let him make his point before you shit all over him.
Oh.
Toad, man. This is why like nobody like Power Gang's crazy. What would Top Lobster think? He'd be like,
It-
come on.
It's
Oh,
super
God.
entertaining.
Top,
See?
if I had him here, would literally leave after saying the N-word 100 times. He does not want to be involved in these conversations.
But here's the thing. It's
You would not
And
do
that's
practical.
coming.
I guess from a praxeological stance, I consider what's going on in Gaza a genocide. I
Yeah.
don't know if I consider necessarily what he's talking about as the greatest decision, but I'm not the expert on
Boy,
that.
they
But-
shut him down. Look,
but-
I am no
well,
Jew.
I'll tell you right now,
Move the
I do
sands with
agree
mighty
with
hands
you.
around the
Well,
Midas
my main
touch.
issue is now foreign policy, and he's good on foreign policy, so can't we
But
just-
we're electing him to run this country. As much as I agree with you, fuck any other country than ours. because
He's also not
and
going to
we
win.
need to save
With
ours
a
first.
He's not going to win. He's a leftist. His messaging is all through a left. Even the stuff that he talks about that he's actually good on the issue, it's all through a leftist lens. Fuck
But-
it. His
but
messaging
I'll
sucks.
take the
He's
left-
useless.
I hate to tell you that. I'll take the leftists right now because at least, like, okay,
So
I'll give
Biden.
you here's the thing. Here's the thing that got me. A lot of people about a week ago, not even a week ago, 4 days ago, told me about a week ago, everybody was like, Kareem, France has fallen. And I said, okay, who they elect? And it's like Jean-Luc, long name. Now, if we forget about like all the stuff,
Base.
you know, forget about the stuff we're talking about, which dude is, I'm pretty sure, just a regular guy, but he's a leftist. But I looked at his position. I said, is this guy going to start a war with Russia? Because Elbow Macaroni and Emmanuel Macron was saying we're sending special forces, GI. So I was like, look, the guy's a socialist and has bad ideas. I prefer he go libertarian socialist like Rojava, but he's not. But at least he's willing to talk to
Those
Putin, so
don't.
we're not gonna
That's
have
not a
nuclear
thing.
war.
No, Bausch exists. You're wrong.
Well, and not to mention,
I call them pedophiles myself.
Yes, I agree with Toad on that.
No, wait.
Vouch.
Lipsock is a thing. Lipsock is a thing. All it's saying is you vote on policy.
It means
Yeah.
retard.
And
It means you don't understand economics or how the world works.
Yes,
I
so
do.
Are you a
I-
lip sock? Is that what you're saying right now, Kareem?
Partly. I mean, I still believe in Austrian economics, but I
You
believe.
guys have
No,
to
you don't.
understand, Kareem has gone completely rogue. He is no longer in.
Kareem is a communist, and he's now defending what was a coup in France.
I'm not
Well-
defending a coup. I'm defending people not getting nuked. That's kind of important because
They are going to.
Well,
You don't think? You don't
Well,
think
it
that
doesn't
the
matter.
Listen,
French regime is going to be on board with the whole Western, like U.S. empire military-industrial complex
From what I can see, he's not. He's
Agenda.
pro Palestine and he's pro talking to Russia.
Yeah, okay.
So that's good. That's what he's
What good does it matter if everybody doesn't get nuked if they're all fucking slaves?
But they're not.
Yeah.
But you, okay. Here's the thing.
And also, how does French leftist politics have anything to do with this country?
Well, okay. I think your priorities are like.
Guys, we saved Gaza. It's just all of our children are dickless now.
I'll shut up. Go ahead, Kareem.
That's not going to happen because trans people are less than 1% of the population.
Well, yeah, they take care of the problem themselves 40% of the time, so that's all
Yes.
But here's the thing.
Were.
No, I'm actually going to stick up for trans because every trans person I have ever met has been a really, really
You can
good
stick
person.
up for him, just don't stick into him.
Oh no! Come on.
Like conservatives used to tell me they're all bad. Then I met them, and I'm like, wait, these people are actually really good people. They're cool.
I know
people.
one personally. She is all right.
Yeah, so I changed my opinion. I said, like, there's a lot of people on the internet that want you to hate.
First we got the bomb, and that was good, cause we love peace and motherhood. Then Russia got the bomb, but that's okay, cause the balance of power is maintained that way. Who's next?
What the fuck is this?
France got the bomb, but don't you grieve, cause they're on our side, I believe. China got the bomb, but have no fears, they can't wipe us out for at least 5 years. Who's next?
North Korea got the
Then
bomb.
Indonesia claimed that they were going to get one any day. South Africa wants two, that's right. One for the black and one for the white. Who's next?
What the fuck is this?
Egypt's gonna get
What's this guy's name again? I forget.
Tom Lehrer makes me angry.
Tom Lehrer, yeah.
Who's on you know who? So Israel's getting tense, wants one in self-defense. The Lord is our shepherd, says the psalm, but just in case, we better get a bomb.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they stole one, but you know.
That's
That's
Tom
neither here
Lehrer,
nor
by
there.
the way,
You don't have
too.
to
Tom
keep arguing with
made
him.
great music.
He
Bye,
made
Hector.
Hector leave.
What did you do?
Hector's been dipping it out all the time. I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, he just said he's leaving, so I'm gone.
We've had a good conversation, though. We've covered most of what we needed to, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
so I agree with you, Kareem, that like, well, okay, I think individuals can be good. I judge
Yeah, I
people
agree
that
with
way
that.
because I'm not going to just be like, oh, all trans people are this. Like, making a absolute statement is fucking retarded. It is
Yeah.
retarded.
Pedophiles should be put to the wood chipper.
I agree.
Okay.
Woo.
That's
Exactly
fine.
those
Point
areas.
taken. Point taken.
Agreed.
Touche.
They're violating somebody
Touche.
else's natural right.
Go ahead,
Um,
finish your point. I'm sorry.
But this doesn't really have anything to do with the trans ideology. It has everything to do with where it's targeted. And without a doubt, it is targeted to children.
Yeah,
And it's
with-
targeted through the government schools.
I think it's
And
both.
that's the problem.
yeah, by Karens who are teaching. So if we get rid of honestly, if we get rid of public schools,
The
that would
communists
probably
will just
solve
find another way. We've got to stop them targeting children. That's
Dude, I mean, it's
Not
all
communists, it's corporatists though.
it's not even just the
problem
schools, it's the corporations, churches, it's taking over everything, dude.
Yeah, the problem I find with just removing the schools from the situation is that, I mean, I'm somebody who's homeschooled, knew lots of people who are in the same boat, and the reality is, like, they're all going to move into the private institutions, and in most cases, they already have.
Yeah,
And
private.
They've got they've got all this government support to begin with, so it's not really private because they've got a leg up on the competition. Most of the free market enterprises that are competing against the public school system have been hit at the knees by the government, whereas the opposite side has been supported financially. So it's an unfair playing field.
Well, and it's
Exit
like
and build.
it's a mind virus too, where people are listening to this propaganda. A lot of these people are going to believe that propaganda, and then even if you have a technically private company and it's run by these people, we saw this throughout COVID. Obviously, it was happening all over the place. These people are just acting. They think they're acting voluntarily, but this propaganda is so extreme. It's being pushed on them, and they're doing this Without that propaganda, they wouldn't otherwise be doing that. So that's not even free market action really at all. Like the whole thing is
No, it's not.
fucked.
Well,
These cocksuckers made me turn down my mic, and now I'm being told that my mic is low, and I'm
It's
blaming
much
it
better
all.
Now it's too high again. It needs to be
The
somewhere in
whole-
between.
You fucking whore toads.
Just a little lower. That's fine.
Needs to be between the two.
But I'll
How
make
about
2
that?
points on that, which is there's an issue there, which is the private companies, if they're getting funding from the government or any interference with the government, they're not private, and I help people understand that, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that helped during the scary beer flu thing. However, I keep hearing commie, and I've studied some ANCOM theory, which is why I'm the way I am, which is fine. I'm not sad about
Gay.
that.
So
We
your
all
head
have our
is
fault.
retarded. It's fine.
Faggot? Yeah.
It's actually, in my opinion, it works well with ANCAP stuff. You just got to realize that. But to me,
Yeah, because
No,
we're
me.
the only thing that you can turn to when you realize it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Tim,
exactly.
Tim, you just
Damn.
have to go all in on communism.
That's right, dude.
no, the only one you turn to, they turn to each other for mutual aid. But a lot of these
Good
people
luck
who are
with that.
controlling these things are hardcore corporatists. How do
Mutual aid my 38.
like Fuzzer is a corporatist thingy. It works directly with the government, and that's the definition of fascism. All of this stuff is corporatist to me. You can tell me, yeah, there's different ideas. People have different ideas in the mix, but we're living under corporatism. So when people
I agree.
shout, communism, to me, I think.
I mean, I just call it fascism.
Marxist. I think
It's-
there's a definition.
It's some of both, really.
Okay, but there's a fundamental definition, change between Marxist-Leninism
Well,
and
here's-
anarcho-communism.
Here's where the communism comes in, though. The communism comes in through the culture, which is exactly how the communists take over.
Yeah,
So
which is why it matters.
communism
exactly.
can only be done on a small scale because it means the communal ownership. So communists would say like that water bottle is personal property, and then we have public property.
Yeah,
which
it's
is-
completely unscalable because it's a failed
But
idea.
it doesn't have to be scaled.
It
The
doesn't
point is
work.
not to scale it. But
The-
so is anarcho-capitalism. You're not scaling to huge mega cities. Cities
But
are
the
cities.
only place
No,
communism
shouldn't be.
works is within the single family home. That's the only place
No,
that
it can work in a community. There's something like
bullshit. Because
No,
here's
look at
here's the
Kyle.
thing.
I
If,
can-
if I'm in the community,
Rojava works. Look,
I don't
think-
care. If I'm in the community, how are you going to force me to comply to your shit idea?
No, it's voluntary, like Rojava. Rojava
Right,
is
within
It's
the
not,
family.
though. It's not,
Communism
though,
is not
because-
voluntary.
Because
Within the
everyone
family,
has to do it.
Yeah, within the family, that behavior is voluntary, so it's not communism.
But how's it
No,
voluntary?
my daughter doesn't have a voluntary choice on whether or not she's going to go to
Ah.
fucking bed. She's going to bed.
Right, I mean, children,
Okay, fine, yeah,
children are a
consider it
special
fair.
case where, yeah, like their rights are kind of
My
in
wife
limbo.
doesn't
Yeah,
have a voluntary decision. She's going to do what I tell her, or we're getting
Yeah.
divorced.
like children are not fully autonomous. Yeah, we don't need to
You're
get
not
into that.
that
debate.
nice.
There you go.
And
What
women.
does it mean to the whammons? You should,
Yeah.
you know, I'm being pat. No, I don't care. But look, it's voluntary in the fact that you say, hey, ANCAPistan's not working for me. I'd like to work somewhere else. I'd like to exist. So you
The
go
thing
to
is, and this has been said before, but Ancapistan can exist with sections of communism. Communism cannot exist with sections of Ancapistan. They're not jiving.
They can.
And so
Yeah,
that-
they can't. They
No.
can't coexist.
Well, the sections
No,
of
they cannot.
communism, like Jacob said, would fail, and they would have to rely on the capitalist sectors, which are
They
the
can-
ones that are actually producing things.
They can confederate with each
They
other.
can come get a job. It's fine.
I mean, your
They can
ANCOM
combine their
community was
problems.
basically already tried out multiple times during COVID. It was Chaz. That's
Well, and
basically
that-
what
that
it
was
is.
basically
not
the
a good
sixth-
example because people did not have any idea what. But there is.
Yeah,
like,
that's why it is exactly.
Toad, you don't
the example.
understand. That's not real communism. They didn't do it right.
Oh,
Chaz is not a good example to me.
See?
I can
Dude,
point you
there's-
towards hundreds of cult communities and groups in Alaska who attempted to do what you're saying, who failed, ended
at
up
the
selling their
60s.
land or dead in the snow.
Well, apparently, for the record, Rojava worked. The Zapatistas worked. I'm not saying
Kareem,
they're-
can I
Where are
explain
they
to you
now?
why what you're saying doesn't matter? Because
Dead.
I don't know who you're talking about.
yeah. Me neither.
I've
That's
never
how-
heard of
I'll-
them.
That's how we know it failed.
I'll tell
They
you
have
where
no
anarcho-capitalism
resources?
worked. I'll tell you exactly where anarcho-capitalism worked, and it worked for hundreds of years.
That's
And
fine.
that's No, Ireland.
Ireland.
Before the
I knew you were
British
going to
came
say
in.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
that's exactly how it worked. That's exactly how it was structured. And it worked just fine until the damn British came in and tried to kill my ancestors.
It's one of the closest examples to it, at least in history. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Nothing's going to be perfect, but then when you're trying to get everyone to voluntarily cooperate, like how many people can you voluntarily get to agree to do something? Because there's going to be some days, even if all of us right now, we just decide to do this and buy some land, start the whole thing. There's going to be some days where I wake up and I look at all of you and fucking hate every one of you and not want to do a thing. So,
Jacob, where do you live?
I'm in Utah.
I don't give a fuck about you.
See? See?
Okay, that's fine. He started his own army in Egypt. But here's the thing. I don't think anarchism is going to be done on a large scale, even if it is ANCAP stand.
No.
Or mutualists or agorists.
The state will always exist in some way, shape, or form. It's us being able to keep it small. And the best way to keep it small is to apply consequences to people when they decide to act like a fucking tyrant.
Lube and glitter them all.
I think, for the record,
tar and feather is cheap.
Right. I think
you can have syndicalist institutions, unionized syndicalist institutions in Ancapistan, and
institutions can be subverted, though. Look at the LP.
Yeah.
There you go. Good job.
But you can also have cooperate. I'll join a workers' co-op and show you guys just for the record.
Yeah, we were only able to unsubvert the LP for like a year and a half.
Exactly, and then the feds moved back in. So, I mean, and especially going to DC, they didn't even have to. They just had to take public transit to the fucking convention.
Right. That's why they had it there.
Comrade Toad. Can I call you Comrade Toad?
The Beltway bounce. You can. I may not respond to it.
I'm gonna only refer to Comrade to Toad as Comrade Toad in DMs now.
Comrade Toad and Comrade Bob. Comrade Russell. Let's start a workers co-op.
All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered this thing to death. Talked about all the angles we can. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting. That's for sure. I think all of this, all of the conversation we've been having seems sort of mute because I think Karen Ann Harlow's sort of put a giant stake through the heart of the RFK thing with Colorado.
I did not like that. I
No,
hope that's
she
not
didn't.
even the case.
Well, so
what do you mean? No, she didn't.
You'll just have to wait.
Whoa.
Okay.
What?
Well, we'll
Tell
see.
me.
We'll
You're
see
here
what's
now.
going
Tell
on.
us.
Yeah,
No.
I also wanted to ask
What am I-
Hector about Florida, but he's not here because Florida was doing I don't know, they were challenging Chase's nomination.
Yeah, what do you want to know? I know a lot about Florida. What do you want to know?
Florida.
Oh, Tim's
America's
here. That's
wang.
right.
Right. What do you want to know? Yeah.
I just wanted to know more specifics about that, like what the deal is.
How
with that.
sweaty are
So-
your balls right now?
Well, they're not. They're fine. I was born here. I was bred for this.
Okay.
But anyway, for what happened in Florida. So the difference between what happened in Florida and everywhere else is that Florida wasn't calling for the removal of Chase. They were calling for an investigation into how Chase was elected. That's
Right.
the silver lining in all of that.
Interesting.
So. Yeah, Hector was here. Hector's the one that put up the motion originally that caught all the attention about it.
I'm gonna follow him
I mean,
now
like,
just for that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I was
so
like,
what do
this
you want to
Hector
know
guy's
about
such
it?
a faggot for so long, but I'm like, nah, now I'll follow him.
I mean, like, so what do you want to know?
What do you
Because
like?
they put the motion up, and the
Outlawed
MC
thoughts,
people
building
supported
bridges.
it. The MC people supported it just for the investigation aspect. But to be clear, the entire LPFEC, to my understanding, is for putting Chase on the ballot. So they're not going as far as Colorado.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? I don't know what you wanted to know.
Yeah, all right.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that's an interesting move, and so that investigation is moving forward then.
I don't know about that. The messages that I've seen from Angela and other people have been saying, like, we'll have your investigation, but it won't really change anything. Basically, the TLDR of it.
Well, that
So
sucks. But I guess the one thing that'll come out of it, if anything, is that Florida has denounced Chase.
Florida, I won't say that they've denounced Chase because that's not it. But I will say you will notice that they have not been promoting Chase.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
So I'll say that. But your tweet advertising this whole thing, Leighton, was about the LP generally, and we didn't really talk about that so much. And I think like this Mises Caucus takeover stuff, my opinion is we kind of failed, because the whole Mises Caucus takeover was, one, like a strong focus on private property and economics and all that, and we're diving into culture war stuff. But two, localization. And like I don't remember who it was, alluded to earlier, we're focusing so much on this national campaign, and I understand it's part of the conversation and stuff, but I would like to see more local support. And instead, so to the extent that we're involved with RFK, in this fundraising scheme or whatever it is, what are they planning to do with that money? Because if that's going to go to supporting Chase or whatever, I think it's fruitless effort. Ballot access, fuck ballot access. If you don't have enough support locally to get your candidate elected, then we don't need to be focusing on ballot access at all. It's a complete fucking waste of time. It's a complete fucking waste of money, and we need to focus locally. And that was the whole reason I got behind the Mises Caucus in the beginning, was one, they were right on the issues. They were right on economic prosperity. They were right on property rights. They were right on all that stuff.
Yep.
And then the strategy for the Libertarian Party was to message those things and then appeal to local people so that we could bring liberty from the local up. Yeah. That has not been the progress of the Libertarian Party.
Yes.
No.
Instead, they've been focused on all this other bullshit. Sorry, go ahead, guys.
I'm even going to go off on that as well, because yes, cultural issues, fine. Focus on them personally. People can have their opinions, but yeah, the energy was there at Reno, and then people who lectured me, they're like, "You're not dedicated. You just can't. What did you do for liberty?" They weren't there at DC, so yeah, it didn't work out. And yes, we still got Angela, but that's not working. That's funny enough why I started, and funny enough at Reno, someone mentioned Michael Malice, got his book, looked at some authors there. I'm like, what else did they do? So now here's my proposition for this. Although Michael Rechtenwald, said it was, the R word, but whatever.
Retarded?
Yeah, he did say it was.
Okay, I'll say it for you. You don't have to say
what was retarded.
So I posted a video from a libsock. If you don't believe it,
Bosch?
Yeah, it's definitely retarded.
Okay,
I can tell you it's retarded.
But I posted. You can look into Think or Not. But I looked at his name's Murray Bookchin. He wrote a.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, he wrote a really good book called Free Cities, Communalism on the Left. The idea is that you have small cities that use popular assemblies to determine policy. So you vote directly on policy, and then they confederate with each other. If we can get enough people to get on board with that idea, then yeah, I think we can have a local change where you have local municipalities confederate with each other and then scale up. I don't know exactly how it would work in the United States, but I think it's an idea worth trying.
I think everybody everywhere should try anything to see if it can work and see how big it can get, see what limits it has. I mean, we have literally 50 fucking states, which should be independent countries of their own. So, I mean...
Yeah, decentralize. Like,
every local community could be a country.
Does trying anything include voting for Trump?
Toad's a Bookchin fan.
I mean, I'm a fan of decentralization, yeah. But what I was going to say is, as far as what happened with the Mises Caucus, like, I think we should have known. We could have predicted that the Reno reset was not going to last very long because...
Well, some of us did predict it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not going to put any names out there, but I kind of talked about it for a year and a half.
All right, fair enough. Conquest second law, man, is what's going on here. It's undefeated for a reason because that shit is real. If you have an organization that is not explicitly right wing and you do not gatekeep it, it will become leftist. Yes. I'm not even sure if the Libertarian Party ever was right wing explicitly. Even though the right wingers got the majority, but it's still, you're just trying to push back on the inevitable, basically. Like, you're fucked.
Okay, but what's wrong with being a leftist? Like, I'm part leftist.
That they're egalitarian, which is in total conflict with libertarian.
And progressive movement.
I don't believe in egalitarian. Like, obviously,
you
do have different strengths. Than
let's start here. What makes you left wing? What do you think makes you left wing?
What do I think makes me left wing? Few things. I believe in democratic and federalism.
Wait, stop. You believe in democracy?
Yes.
All right, then there you go.
In local towns. I think we should look. Let's say we all live in local town A, and there's fluoride in the water. We should all get together and discuss if we should have fluoride, then vote on it, and then.
I have an idea. We should take a vote right now about what we should do with Kareem, and so we could tie him up and teach him about democracy.
See, this is why Kareem is a leftist, because if you ask somebody that question, their answer is just going to be some rambling bullshit that makes no sense.
Four white guys talking about tying up the brown dude.
If you get a right winger like me, I can tell you I'm a right winger. You know why? Because I acknowledge that some people are better than others. That's the answer.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yes. Some people are better than others, but all I'm saying is we need horizontal power structures and to get rid of unjustified hierarchy.
You're an egalitarian. You just admitted it again.
Not
This is all progressive speak.
You can't have that without implementing massive force that is required to push back against just what is human nature.
To be honest, all you need for horizontal power structures is to convince people and to build something like a workers' co-op that works. And then
how do you convince
them?
Like I'm doing
because
now,
like I said, I live in this society. How are you going to get me to do it? Because I refuse to do it.
I'll run for president and convince them. I don't know. I'll find a way to.
No, what's going to happen is I'm going to get lined up against the fucking wall.
No, that's not what happens.
That's bullshit.
No,
if
democracy votes it that way, it will.
The problem, Kareem, is that by signing on to democracy and accepting the fact that you're saying, no, you can do what you want in this collective, but at the same time, what happens when somebody doesn't want to be a member of that collective? You can make the argument that it's voluntary, but it's not. Because the whole point of the collective is to remove people outside of it.
Okay.
And you can't be a collective.
I know for a fact, you correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think Leighton this time and then me both times voted for Angela. Democracy. We did use it at the Liberty, and when I realized, all I'm saying is, in a very simple sense, we keep Austrian economics and we use
the difference between
the
Libertarian
Party organization to vote on policy like we would. And maybe
the difference between that though is you can vote for Angela in a democracy or whatever, and if you're against Angela, you can walk away from the Libertarian Party and go join something else that's more suited to your principles. You can't do that in the leftist, communist, whatever fucking society you're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah, you can. You can say, hey, I don't want to be part of
this.
No,
you can't. You have to okay, so you're going to come in and force my job to be a workers' co-op so I can fucking shoot you, and that's okay?
No, we're going to have a discussion about what...
We're not going to have a discussion. I'm not joining your goddamn union.
Then don't. Then leave.
Then I will.
I was here first.
I believe
but I'm not leaving my house. I'm not going to leave where I live. I'm not going to leave my community. I stand here and I want to voluntarily interact with anybody I want to. What are you going to do about it?
Nothing. I'm going to tell you guys it's probably a good idea to make your own community your country and get together at the town hall and discuss different issues and vote on it horizontally. I don't think that's a bad idea.
What do you keep saying horizontally? What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know what the fuck that means. It was my position that I was in with Kareem's mom last night, though.
That's right.
Yeah, you wish, but you're gay. So that can't be the truth.
Okay, then the old man.
I swing both ways, baby.
I don't understand the horizontally bullshit, but democracy is gay.
So horizontally just means instead of Congress being up here, everybody has the ability to vote on policy instead of Dan Crenshaw voting on whatever it is.
And what if I disagree with what the majority decides?
Then you can say, hey, I have a voice of a dissenting minority, and we discuss it. It's not.
I have a voice. Oh, great. What does that mean?
Let me
for
explain,
my
Kareem. What you've just created is a system that, at the end of the day, goes right back to bureaucratic means.
Yeah, you created a democracy.
You
which
just
is
framed
soft
it. If you don't want to
be
be involved, you're now going to be the ostracized class. You have just created a caste system.
No, I haven't. Because all I'm saying is the person who has a dissenting
comply
voice,
or else.
No, I'm not.
Comply or else be ostracized. That's what you just said. Yes.
Okay, historically speaking, throughout all of history, what you are going to have happen when you have a community that is attempting to do what you are talking about, this community-based populist means where they want to have control of their environment and grow ultimately, because even though they're not capitalists, they're going to hold those same ideals because it's human nature.
Be capitalists if they want to grow.
So, regardless,
okay,
the outside group that is capitalist that doesn't want to vote or be you're calling the outside minority, eventually what's going to happen is that outside minority is going to arm themselves and it's going to start a war. And so your entire hypothetical in this situation will ultimately end in the exact same situation we are in today. It might be shinier, but it's going to be the same turd.
Not going to be shinier. Okay, look, there can be local conflict. As Benjamin Tucker said, the anarchists never argued that anarchy would bring perfection. They just say the results will be
Is
vastly.
everybody you're quoting today gay, or is it just like
comrade?
Is it just a flavor to what you like reading?
I'm going to have Comrade Toad as my delegate. He's going to do this when he gets up.
Well, Fudge Packer Jonathan McGee was telling me.
I think Kareem should just stop cherry picking, creating his own faggots handbook or whatever the hell he's doing here.
You're just mad because
is that Malice's new book?
Read some of the better thinkers. That's his cherry picked version of Malice's book. That's what I'm calling it.
But
Yeah,
it's not a perfect system, but it works.
Well, the problem is I don't think it works, because at the end of the day, you're creating a bureaucracy with better ideals, which is going to end in a mess.
You're turning people into property.
Yeah.
That's the problem, and that's why the Constitution of the United States was so revolutionary for its time, because that is the first document to say government or anything is limited from what it can do. However, everyone has seemed to forget that comes with us having responsibility. So all of this was set up as a great experiment, right? So, and we only deserve to have it if we can keep it. What the fuck does that mean? Well, that means that when things start getting out of control, we don't just say, oh, well, it's just a little bit here, a little bit there. Fuck that, because your children, your lineage, everything will suffer the consequences of your fucking compliance.
Yeah.
So the thing is the best way for things to get done is at a snail's pace. Like, it's got to go back and forth, because then things will actually happen naturally. What's really interesting about what's going on now is the biggest reason that we are in the position we're in is everyone just said, oh yeah, go ahead, take us off the gold standard. Oh yeah, go ahead and confiscate our gold. Oh yeah, go ahead, raise taxes. And it's just generation after generation of that. And
you know what happened in my system, it'd be just wherever you live, town in Utah. Okay, they went off the gold standard, but this town's using this, voted to use this currency. This town voted to use this currency. And maybe two towns say we want to confederate because we're using currencies, and maybe two towns don't. And it works like that.
That would still fail, though, just because of all the various currencies, because there's no objective measurement.
You can't have objective measurements between competing currencies. It happens in crypto.
Well, you can have competing
one's
currencies.
Valuable and one's not. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I mean,
depending on who you ask.
I just think Kareem needs
how many
to,
bucks you use to wipe your ass and the regular money you spend.
Kareem needs to join reality here in the real world and stop living in whatever the fuck he's talking about.
I mean, hey,
shit in his head here.
I'm going to tag you into this.
Too, you know?
We're going to have
the problem is you need some stake in the real world to start seeing something in that way, and I think Kareem has the least of that out of any of us.
He has the job. Shut up.
Oh,
Kareem is like
what is it? Janitor?
Yeah. I'm cleaning up your bullshit.
Hey.
Oh.
Kareem has a YouTube channel and stuff with 100,000 subs.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, what do we know?
Never heard of it.
Well, that makes sense though.
No, it's not
because
libertarian.
Leftist
It's
channel is
It's on
definitely
crypto,
conflict.
competing currency.
Crypto stuff.
I'm fine with crypto. You can compete all you want. You're still going to lose.
Good Bitcoin.
No, Bitcoin's going to lose too. I'm in the shift camp on that one. No way.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's
You know
possible.
what? It's a good idea.
I need to do a show with Kurt Wookert Jr. and Kareem on the same time.
No.
And just see those two actually, just somebody who's autistically into Bitcoin Cash, and then Kareem just like, it would be hilarious to watch disintegrate on the internet.
Hey, I'm not on the spectrum. I am the spectrum.
Yeah.
We're gonna get
Be
Toad
the spectrum.
Egalitarian again, right there.
Oh,
Yeah, egalitarian power sharing.
All right, everybody. I
Well,
think
if it's
that's gotta
egalitarian.
close this out. We've got Toad at Tower Gang Toad on Twitter and the Tower Gang Pod, of course. We got Jacob from Rise to Liberty at Rise to Liberty on Twitter and on YouTube, I believe. Correct?
Yep, YouTube, Rumble. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., I am having a conversation with Hannah Goodman of LP Colorado. So make sure and tune in for that. It should be good.
I am going to listen to that, and I might reach out to Hannah and some of the Colorado people separate. I was hoping one of them was going to respond to my Twitter thing because I sent it to a few different channels that I know they're in, but I'm gonna I'll reach out to
They're
one of them
busy.
to see if I can get them on. Yeah, I know it's got to be crazy when you're
They're like, this
doing
guy's in
all that shit.
Alaska. What?
Yeah, you know. I am the comms chair, so you know.
Yeah, that means nothing. You were the 5th person to volunteer.
Fuck you. Fuck you, Tim.
Good local position.
I was the only one who could do StreamYard, so. All right, Kareem on Twitter at Kareem Mays or at Kareem, is it 4466 or something like that?
6633, and you can also find
1488.
Facebook and Cap and LibSoc content, which does exist.
Oh God, no! Please no! And then at Real Swampcast on Twitter, that is the Swampcast Network on YouTube. Great show. I was on just a few episodes ago.
It's at Real Swampcast everywhere. We're getting ready to do the 100th episode, and we're going to force Mitch to eat a pocky chip. So get ready.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't
I've
seem
eaten
for
those
me
before.
It's an
time.
expired one. It's an expired one. It's been sitting on my desk for a year.
I've
What
ate
year
that
is
one
it?
before.
What
I've
if
ate
you
that
told
one
us
before.
20
And,
walk away.
Hold on, I'll tell you.
2023?
2021, sir.
Oh,
So-
they stopped making them. I ate a 2022
Yeah.
one, I think, on Ben's show. Didn't go well for me.
Yeah, so me and my brother are really into like spicy foods, and so we have had those. That same company makes, you get them at like truck stops whenever I'm on vacation.
They make
I
good
get 'em,
chips,
but they're-
actually. Yeah, like,
Yeah, they make like a ghost pepper chip.
yeah, it's
That's
fucking good.
great.
Shit's
That
way
I will
good.
eat. Yeah, I will end up just hosing the bag. I end up just destroying
Yeah, and
the whole thing.
it's pretty fucking hot and it tastes good, but then that one chip, it tastes so bad, dude. But for me, I
Yeah.
think I have like ulcers or something, and it just like cripples me a half hour later. It's so bad.
That's what it's meant to do. Clean your colon. Before we get out of here, I just gotta advertise. You know, we are doing the 100th episode in about a month. If you want to see Mitch die on stream, but also in Thursday is going to be Trump's commencement or acceptance speech or whatever. We're going to be live streaming that. So Swampcast. Look, Kareem. I was going to say Kareem. Even the communists can join if you guys want to get on. You're more than welcome. I'm going to be watching Trump's thing and reacting to it. So if y'all want to come on, let's do it.
Was that? Did you say Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday is when he's expected to give his acceptance speach for the Republican
I wonder if he'll
nomination.
announce...
And Dana White is going to open for him. And yes, he will announce his VP. Yes. And he will announce his VP. That's my prediction because he's been saying forever that he wants to do it at the Republican convention. They keep telling him he has to do it before. So whatever. We will know the VP by the time the convention happens. So yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I'm definitely going to check that out on Thursday.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Leighton will probably be on the show, the only show with a 2-drink minimum, and I'm on number 4. Let's go.
Best we can hope for right now is JD Vance because the other options are worse than that.
You think Vivek is worse than JD Vance?
Vivek is not going to win it.
Yeah.
But he
okay.
kissed
So you're
so
saying
much
the other
ass.
viable. You're saying
Yeah.
the other viable options. Yeah.
Vivek is definitely better, but yeah, it's going to be either that.
You don't think
Burgum-
Tulsi's? You don't think Tulsi's a good pick right now with
she's
Kamala
got
being the?
no chance. It's going to be. It's basically down to Vance or Burgum.
He
so
wants
it's gonna,
a business person. He always goes with somebody tied to
It's
business.
going to have to be Vance out of those two.
Vance hasn't been that great, dude. I don't really
but
like
he's
him.
better. He's
Yeah.
better than Burgum.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying. I'm
maybe
just
true.
saying it's
Yeah.
the best that you can realistically hope for. Is what I'm saying. I don't think it's good.
So vote for Trump, even though his picks are gay.
Wait, do what for Trump?
Yeah.
Through what? Democracy? Oh God, I don't think I could do that.
Well,
It doesn't matter what you want to do; it's going to happen.
It's Trump versus Biden, man. And if you think Trump can make any
Listen.
positive difference over what Biden's going to give you, then it makes sense to vote for Trump. So that's.
I think it makes sense to talk to your neighbor about butching
About
in the
who?
real world.
About who?
I don't have time for fantasy reads.
Did you just remove Kareem? Okay.
This is not horizontal power structure.
Listen. We've given Kareem a lot of shit, but I wish you the best. Anyway, wrap it up, Leighton.
Thanks,
He's
Colorado.
never mind.